all, welcome back. Tonight's homework, we are finding the surface area and the volume of various rectangular prisms and cylinders. And you can look at your notes to find the formulas, or at least the form of the formulas that I'm going to be using. But basically for a rectangular prism, we will use the volume formula, which is length times width times height, okay? Where basically you multiply all the three dimensions. And for the surface area, we'll be using 2, and I'm going to need a little bit more room here, 2 times the sum of the products of the length and width, the width and height, and finally the height and length. So basically the formulas are set up this way. The volume is just to multiply the three things, but for the surface area, what we're really doing here is we're finding the area of 3 of the 6 sides and then just doubling them. So it sort of conceptually, to find that surface area, we want to find, like, for instance, on this first one, the area of this side, the area of the top, and the area of this side over here. And we'll find all of those 3 areas, which is like here, and then double it, because all of the sides that are on the sort of other side of this box or this rectangular prism have the same area. It's kind of hard to see since this is supposed to be like a 3D shape here, but like this back side over here, which you can't see, will have the same area as the front side. So anyway, those are the formulas we're going to be using, and so I'm just going to run through each of these and use the calculator to actually do the computations if I have to. Which for the rectangular prisms probably don't need as much, but for the cylinders, I might need to. Well, I'm definitely going to need the calculators, especially when we start throwing in pi to the mix. So for the rectangular prisms, let's just go kind of through these. So the volume on this first one is going to be 1 times 1 times 3, just multiplying the 3 dimensions, and so yeah, we get 3 cubic feet. For the surface area, we're going to have 2 times, let's start with the front side, 3 times 1, plus the top, 1 times 1, and then we've got one more 3 times 1. So if like this side was 3 times 1, this side over here is also a 3 by 1 rectangle. So we're going to multiply all those and add up. So 2 times, we got 3 plus 1 plus 3. 3 and 3, 6, plus 1 is 7, times 2 is going to be a total of 14. Now, when we're working with area, the units are always going to be squared. So I just want you to kind of see the difference here between having cubic feet and square feet. Cubic feet will be for volume, square feet for surface area. Now, it looks like number 2 is actually the same rectangular prism, just kind of pushed over, like someone knocked it over, but the dimensions are all the same. So we should have the exact same answers here for number 2 that we had for number 1. So that should be pretty easy. Yeah, so it should be the same rectangular prism there. So for number 3, we'll start with the volume. So the volume here will be 3 times 8 times 2. So 3 times 8, 24, times 2 should be 48. So we get 48 cubic, in this case, meters. The surface area will be 2 times, and then we'll just get all the combinations of sides here. 3 by 8, 8 by 2, and the last one will be the 2 by 3. So 3 times 8, that's 24, plus 16, plus 6. Kind of feel like I should probably get out the calculator just to make sure I'm doing this arithmetic right, since I'm kind of going through it fast. 24 and 16 and 6, that gives me 46. So 2 times 46 is going to be 92. So the surface area here is 92 square meters. For number 4, we actually have a cube. You might notice all the side lengths are the same, 10 by 10 by 10. So the volume is just going to be 10 by 10 by 10. We can multiply that together to get 1,000 cubic centimeters. And then for the surface area, we had one like this in class. It might have even been the exact same problem, but the surface area here, we could think of this as like three separate sides like we did all the previous problems. So we'd have like 10 by 10, and really they're all going to be 10 by 10. But I think if you notice that this is a cube, an easier way to handle it is just to find the area of one of the sides, and instead of doubling it, multiplying it by 6, because all 6 sides should be the same here. 10 by 10 is 100. 6 times 100 is going to be 600. So the surface area is 600 square centimeters. Okay, now let's take a look at some cylinders here. The volume is surprisingly similar to the formula for volume of a rectangular prism. It doesn't look like it, but the concept is the same, where what we want to do is we want to find the base area, so like area of the base times the height. And for a rectangular prism, the base is a rectangle, so it'd be like the area of that rectangle times the height, which will result in you just multiplying all three of the side lengths together. But for a cylinder, the base is a circle. So let's just go through the formulas. Again, you do not have to memorize these, but so have them handy as you're working through these. They should be in your notes. But for the volume, it's the base area, which is pi r squared, times the height. Okay, it's really the same thing as the rectangular prism, which is the base area times the height. It's just here the base is a circle rather than a rectangle. Now for the surface area is going to be the area of the bases. There's 2 circles there, 2 times pi r squared, but then plus the area of like what's going around it. This is really, that looks like a big old mess, but it's the area of, like, if you imagine this as like a can of beans, it's the area that the label would take up. So if I like unravel this, okay, so say I have a cylinder and I unravel the label, it's going to be a long rectangle where the height is the same as the height here, but the other dimension here is actually going to be the length of the circumference. So that would be a 2 pi r distance there. So because we're just finding the area of a rectangle to get that label, that's just going to be 2 pi r times the height. Okay, the circumference times the height. Now, you do not need to memorize this formula. I just wanted to give you a little insight into why it is what it is. But at the end of the day, as long as you can plug in the r and plug in the height, you're going to be just fine. So let's find the volume first. We've got pi times the radius squared, so that's times 4 squared times the height. We need to throw all that into our calculator. So we've got pi times 4 squared times 6 is roughly 301 I'll take it out 2 decimal places here. How about 5.9? So the volume is in cubic inches. So 301.59 cubic inches. And now let's find the surface area. So we have 2 times pi times 4 squared plus 2 times pi times 4 times 6. And so let's get to work here. Typing it in, 2 times pi times 16, which is 4 squared, plus 2 times pi times 4 times 6, gives me 251.33. And that's going to be in square inches. Number 6, the volume and the surface area. So here we're going to use those same formulas, and I guess for the rest of these problems we'll do the same thing. So the volume here is going to be pi times r squared times the height, so that'd be pi times 2 squared times 6. Okay, so we've got 6 times 2 squared is 4 times pi is 75.39. So I guess we'll have to round this to 0.40. So the volume is 75, or roughly 75.40 cubic centimeters. The surface area is 2 times pi times the radius, which is 2 squared, plus 2 pi times the radius times the height, which is 6. So I just need to type that whole thing into the calculator. 2 times pi times 2 squared plus 2 pi times 6 times 2. And that's going to be about 100. So 100.53 square centimeters. Number 7 and 8 will be worked the exact same way here. So for number 7, the volume is pi r squared times the height. So pi times 5 squared times the height. Pi times 5 squared times 17 is 1,335.17. Actually, that's going to round up to 1/8. Not a big deal if you miss the rounding, honestly. And this is in cubic feet. And then the surface area, maybe I'll just bring that down here, is 2 times pi r squared. So pi times 5 squared plus 2 pi r times the height, which is 17. So 2 times pi times 5 squared plus another 2 pi times 5 times 17 gives me 691.15. And that is square feet. Number 8 has a radius of 8, so pi times 8 squared, and has a height of 22. So there is our volume formula. Okay, 8 squared times 22, and then, oops, forgot to type the pi, is 4,423.36. And that is in, what's our units here? Millimeters, so millimeters cubed. For the surface area, 2 pi times the radius squared plus 2 pi times the radius times the height. And I'm going to be real busy with the calculator on these problems, in particular the cylinder ones. So here we go. 2 pi times 8 squared plus 2 pi times 8 times 22 is 1,507.96. And that will be square millimeters. All right, let's take a look at a few more examples here. Okay, here we've got some cubes. Now, with cubes, you can be, you don't necessarily have to use the formulas for rectangular prisms because we have some sort of specialty ones for cubes, but you also can. In other words, like you could look at this as a rectangular prism and find the volume as 2 times 2 times 2. Or you could look at it as a cube and say, oh, well, that's just going to be 2 cubed. These two things mean the same thing. You just pick whichever one makes more sense to you. Either way, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. The volume is 8 cubic feet. And the surface area, now here, before we had done 2 times and then all 3 of the sort of unique sides here. But since a cube has 6 identical sides, we can just find the area of one side, which would be 2 by 2, and multiply that by 6. And that's going to give us 24 square feet. So yeah, if you happen to notice that you have a cube, you can take a few shortcuts here. For number 2, the volume is 3 by 3 by 3, which is 27, and that'll be cubic centimeters. For the surface area, again, with the cube, you've got 6 identical sides. All of them are 3 by 3, so you got 9 times 6, which is 54 square centimeters. Okay, yeah, that's good for that one. Let's take a look down here at number 3. We're back to volume and surface area of rectangular prisms. So we don't have cubes anymore, so we're going to have to fall back on the old formulas here. This one looks like it kind of got cut off. This is not supposed to be 0 inches. I'm going to say this is probably supposed to be a 6 here. 6 inches. Now with that clarification out of the way, let's find the volume. It's going to be 6 times 30 times 7. 6 times 30 times 7 is 1,260. So the volume is 1,260 cubic inches. And the surface area is going to be 2 times. Now let's identify our 3 rectangles here. It's going to be like this one, and this one. So that top one is a 7 by 30. The one kind of out to the front, this one right here is 6 by 30. And the one over to the side over here is 6 by 7. So 7 times 30 plus 6 times 30 plus 6 times 7. And then we're going to double that for each corresponding side. And I'm getting 864 square inches. We'll work out number 4 the same way. Here we've got 7 times 3 times 3, which would be 21 times 3. Should be 63 cubic inches, sorry. And for the surface area, this one will have 2 times, and it looks like the base is a square, so we're going to have like actually 4 of these sides that are the same, but I'm not going to break it down like that. I'll just say we've got a 7 by 3, and we've got a 3 by 3, and we get another 7 by 3. So 7 by 3, I'm just going to type all this in. 2 times 7 times 3 plus 3 times 3 plus, oh, that should be a plus there. Let's fix that. 3 times 7 is 102. So the surface area would be 102 square inches. That brings us to our last page. We're going to do a little bit more with cylinders here. It looks like we got 4 last problems. So we'll start with the volume. The volume is the area of the base times the height. So pi r, so the r here is 5. So 5 squared times the height is 7. So pi times 5 squared times 7 is roughly 459.78. So the volume is that many cubic inches. For the surface area, we've got 2 pi r h, so 2 pi times the radius times the height, plus 2 pi r times the height. Oh, wait a minute. I already did that. Let me back that up. That should be, let me fix that. 2 pi r squared, sorry, plus 2 pi r h. I guess I could have left that there and just switched it up, but I want to stay consistent with the formula. So 2 times pi times 5 squared plus 2 times pi times 5 times 7 is roughly, so let me change this to an approximate, 376.99. And the units here would be square inches. The volume for number 10 is pi times 3 squared times the height. So that would be 6. So let's put this in the calculator. Really making good use of the calculator today. 169.65. And that is, what are our units here? Centimeters, so cubic centimeters. The surface area is 2 pi times the radius squared plus 2 pi times the radius times the height. I'm going to go ahead and type that into the calculator. 21 let's see here. So I am getting 188.49. Is that right? Hang on. Let me try to type that in again. Yeah, I think that is right. Okay, so 188.49 square centimeters. Number 11. Okay, so we got two more here. We're going to solve them both exactly the same way as we did the previous problems. So let's just let's get at it. The volume for number 11, pi times 1 squared times 3. So really just breaks down to 3 pi, which is 9.42. And that's cubic feet. For the surface area, we've got 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times the height. So 2 pi times, well, that's just going to be 2 pi. And we've got times 3. Okay, hold up. I think I typed something wrong here. Okay, there we go. I've got 25.13. And that will be in square feet. All right, let's finish this off. I'm kind of getting tired of working these same problems over and over again, if I'm being honest here. Pi r squared, especially like you're working them out all the exact same way. So this can get a little tedious. Like once you kind of figure out how to set these up, you solve one, you could solve them all. So the first volume here is 5,089.38. And our units are millimeters. This is cubic millimeters. And then one last surface area problem. 2 pi times 9 squared plus 2 pi times 9 times 20. So I'm going to type that in. And ooh, that's a big one. All right, 1,639.91. And that is going to about do it for tonight. Probably too many problems there, honestly. I think I might cut back on this in future years. But for now, let me know if you have any questions on any of these. Hopefully you did enough of these to really just kind of get the hang of it. Make sure you know what the R and the H and the length, all the different dimensions. Make sure you can plug those in the formulas okay. One last time, you don't have to memorize these formulas. Just in real life, you can just look them up anyway. So I just want to make sure you know how to use them. So as always, please reach out if you have any questions. But other than that, y'all have a great night. I'll see you next time.